Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 411 of the Stacey West podcast. I am Ben, and tonight I'm joined by Charlie. How you doing, mate? All the way from Gibraltar.
I am doing very well, thank you, mate. How are you?
I'm good, mate. Yeah, just a bit tired, been a bit unappreciated in some areas of things, but it's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
Well, we appreciate you here, Ben.
That's all right. Yeah, what have you been up to, mate? 'Cause it's been a while since we've been podding together, isn't it?
To be fair, it's been a while since I've been on the podcast full stop, actually. I've had quite a few technical issues with my laptop over the past kind of month, well, 2 months really, which have kind of put a lot of issues on me trying to do podcasts. But this weekend, I finally bought myself a new laptop. I was kind of shopping around. They're quite expensive over here, actually. And there's not really much of a market for it. So there's not really too many options. So I ended up getting one from Curry's from back in Lincoln. My mum had a voucher and all that as well to put a little bit towards it. So I was like, well, go on, I'll get one from Curry's. So I picked one up. I found one online, and I'm back in the UK at the end of the month. I've gone to a couple of things up in Manchester that I'm going to. And I said, oh, well, I'll just pick it up at the end of the month. And I'm thinking, I kind of do sort of need it. So my mum turns around and goes, shall I just bring it out to you? I'm like, you just want a free frigging holiday, don't you? So, turns out she did. So she brought the new laptop, which is why I am able to pod today and not be crapping myself that the laptop is going to turn off halfway through, which seems to be a bit of a running theme in recent podcasts as well, with both you doing it and Gary doing it as well.
Well, in fairness, my PC didn't turn off. My internet died. But that's entirely on Virgin Media. But yeah, no, it's all good, mate. Glad you got yourself sorted, and of course, just massive coincidence that you just happened to need a new laptop around the same time that Football Manager's coming back. Surely,
right? You see, this was the other thing. Because I was looking online, and every single laptop that I looked at, I then had to put into ChatGPT and say, "Will this run Football Manager?" Because the thing is, right, I work in gadget insurance, and I know nothing about gadgets, not even a thing. Apparently, my PlayStation's the wrong way round.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
That's what you get for sending a photo into the group chat. But my PlayStation's all right. That's how little I know about gadgets. So I have no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to RAM, memory size, or what chip it's got in it, what core thing it's got. So I've ChatGPT and everything. Will this run? Apparently this one that I've got will run it to its lower settings, which, considering the price of it, I'm more than happy to go with, because I wasn't spending the money that they wanted for the proper ones anyway.
Oh, Charlie! If only you had people that worked in IT that could probably give you that answer without needing to go to ChatGPT and burning down half a forest. But anyway,
bloody forest! Who cares about that? If I can set myself up on playing Football Manager, that's what's really important here.
If you say so, mate. If you say so. But look, no, it's all good. It's all fun. It's all good. I joined Chris on the not FIFA bandwagon the other day, thanks to a friend who has he works for EA and maybe got me a code, maybe didn't. But yeah, I'm playing it, and I would concur with what Chris said the other day. So I'm glad I didn't spend what Chris spent on his copy of not FIFA, as I'm continuing to call it. I refuse to call it its silly new name.
I just call it FIFA. But do you know what? It's funny because I got it for free, because it's always great when you can game share off people. And it's weird. I was not really hyped to gain for it. Last year, I managed to find a little bit of a niche. I was saying to you the other day that last year I ended up just playing with Lincoln players for the whole year. It got until July until I actually played my first game without a Lincoln City player, or without a full Lincoln City squad. And that kind of brought a little bit of enjoyment to it. But again, I've started this year and I'm bored of it already. It's only a week in.
Yeah, I've gone down that route. I've bought as many Lincoln players as I could on it. So yeah. Anyway, but look, no, we're not here to talk about FIFA. We're not here to talk about Football Manager. We are here, of course, to talk about Lincoln City. And there was a game last night that I think in Gaz's write up about it, I think Fee summed it up fairly well at one point when he was trying to, or she wanted to watch something else. And Gaz had the football on, and she said, "This doesn't feel like a real game." And I would probably agree, because last night we played Man United's under-21s, and it was just a routine win. I think, really, wasn't it? There was nothing out of the ordinary about it. We didn't have any injuries coming from the back of it. We didn't necessarily get too far out of third gear, maybe. It was just it was a decent win against, let's be fair to them, probably the best under-21 side that we've seen at the Bank in all of the time that the under-21s have been involved in the competition, Charlie.
Yeah, they actually looked really, really good. They looked really grounded for the first half in particular. Obviously, it's always going to be a little bit difficult when they go 1-0 down from their point of view. But they gave us a really good game, and they were a little bit more difficult to break down at certain times as well than what some of the other under-21 sides have been since the Bank before. So was kind of relatively impressed with them. So it's really hard to kind of break down a game like that, isn't it? Because we are obviously expecting to win. It's not even like trying to break down a game in the FA Cup against a non-league side, because you know the challenges that they're going to bring you. Realistically, you're not expecting too many challenges at all from an under-21 side, or certainly not too many defensive challenges from their point of view. We know we're going to be able to break them down. If it'll take a little bit longer, then obviously that's fine. But we know where we're going to be able to get the opportunities, and that's exactly what came yesterday. It's always kind of slightly sloppier goals to concede from their point of view as well, because they will give the ball away much more in their own half than what you'll see any league side do, because academy sides refuse to just punt the ball up the pitch, do they? And realistically, that's exactly what their downfall was at certain times yesterday as well.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, the surprise. I think we spoke about it. Me and Chris spoke about it on Sunday, and we said I think Chris said he'd like to see 11 changes made in the game on Tuesday night, and that's exactly what we got. We got 11 out of 11 changed. It's just nice to have a squad that we can do that with, isn't it? It's ridiculous, really. Start of January, we were crying out for squad depth, and all of a sudden, we've been able to replace all 11 players in the side with 11 decent players, not just like, ones that you think, oh, well, that's fine. We might not. All right, fine. But this, you would probably not necessarily argue that the team that started against Man United's under-21s would be our first 11. But you could certainly see that being a first 11 for another club in our division at least. Yeah,
do you know what? I wouldn't even say that it would be that far off being an 11 that we'd be quite happy with. It's a really, really strong squad to be able to put out as an 11 changed second string squad. And realistically, if you turned around and said to those players that they were the second string 11, they'd probably be a bit pissed off with you for saying that. Because every single one of them, again, yesterday did something that showed you that they could be starting not just one or two matches in the league, like we maybe talk about if we'd have had the likes of Zayn Okoro starting yesterday if he wasn't out on loan, or Rashin Gallagher in years gone by, MJ Kamara, where we're kind of sat on here talking about, they showed us a little bit of something. Maybe they're going to get the odd minute in the league this season. We're talking here about players that you could quite feasibly see playing 20, 30 matches for us over the course of the campaign. It really does show our squad depth off quite a lot.
Yeah, definitely. We'll run through the 11. We'll do it in squad number order, which I know is not the favoured one, but we had Gcock, Monsma, Towler, Thorne, Ring, Okoronkwo, Abikwu, Hamer, Lembakisa, Varfolomiev, and Barbrook. So, it's not it's not a second string by any stretch of the imagination. You know, even Bartholomew is our record signing, for God's sake. So to see that kind of quality being put out as, you know, technically it is our second string, even though you wouldn't describe it as that. You know, it was it was a pleasant one to see, and it actually led to a question which we're going to come to a little bit later on, which is quite fun. But I thought, going into that, I thought, okay, there's probably going to be a few players here with a point to prove, and you know, I think even in particular, is one that is going to be absolutely champing at the bit to get into that first 11, particularly with the, you know, record signing hovering over his head. But in order to do that, he needs to displace Conor McGrandles or Tom Bayliss. So, you know, he's got his work cut out for him. But look, I thought that the first half was it was a game that was happening. Is how I think I described it to somebody. You know, it didn't have quite the intensity that we saw on Saturday, and it certainly doesn't have the intensity that we're going to see this coming Saturday. And yeah, I just thought it was fine, I guess. I mean, was there anything particularly that stood out to you in that first half?
To be fair, not really. You know, there wasn't too many great opportunities either end. Realistically, the thing that stood out to me most was actually how impressed I was with Manchester United's kids, which, you know, you wouldn't really expect to be saying at all, would you?
No.
But like I say, they did make themselves tough to break down, and they had some decent opportunities as well in that first half in particular. We had a bit crucial chances in the first half, wasn't it? His flick.
Yes.
At goal. I was really impressed with that chance. That was a real kind of striker's opportunity. Now, obviously, you'd be hoping he got the ball in the back of the net. But again, to be able to kind of wrap his foot around the ball, be able to kind of flick that on towards goal with a good bit of pace and power on it as well, I thought was really impressive. Obviously, it was just a shame that it was kind of directed straight at the keeper. But that's the sort of goal that if it goes in, especially if it's like a young lad who's scoring it, maybe obviously it's a little bit different if it's a lone player compared to if it was actually one of ours. But it's the sort of goal that we'd be talking about on here of, you know, it's just a really good finish. It's exactly what we need from our second string attackers, etc., etc. Now, obviously, it didn't go in the back of the net, so we're not really having that same chat. But again, I can really kind of use that to help see the positives that he's bringing to the squad overall.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? Previously, we've bemoaned the lack of, you know, options up top, and, you know, we've been overly reliant. You know, I think, well, you know, when Mark Kennedy was here, obviously Tom Hopper was made captain, and that kind of cemented his place in the side if he was fit. So all of a sudden, we were playing one up top. We weren't necessarily going to sign another striker because they wouldn't want to come here and play behind somebody that's our captain. So, you know, going from that to all of a sudden having a bit of an embarrassment of riches up top is something else. But I do agree. I think that opportunity in the first half, my initial reaction to that is he's got to score. You know, he's got to score that. But that'll come. You know, again, there's a reason he's been sent out for development, and hopefully, you know, he will score more than he misses. Maybe not score more than he misses, but he'll definitely score quite a few more with us.
No, I totally agree. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm happy that he's getting in those positions and he's having those opportunities. We said it. I always go back to the big game that we spoke about. This was Joe Taylor in his first game for us against Derby, where he had those kind of 2 or 3 chances getting in behind, and he was always in the positions, but he didn't put the ball in the back of the net. And you kind of had half the people saying, oh, well, typical, we've brought a striker that doesn't know where the back of the net is. And then obviously the other half were very much kind of in the camp of, he's in those positions. That's exactly where I want him to be at this stage. And now, obviously, he's just got to build on that by getting the ball in the back of the net. And that's exactly the kind of way that I was thinking with Justin Abitku on there as well. He's in those positions. He's having the shots on target. He's now just got to make sure that he's getting them in the back of the net.
Yeah, and, you know, I think...
Which he's already doing anyway, by the way. You know,
well, yeah, absolutely. You know, it's not like he's missing everything that he's being given. Yeah. I mean, he's got 2 goals in the league already, so it's more than enough for... the amount of minutes he's been getting. And it does go back to that old thing that Danny Cowley used to say. I'd be annoyed if we weren't getting in those positions. I'd be annoyed if we weren't creating chances, but we are. And in the past 4 games, we've scored 10, and one of those was against Chelsea. So we've not done badly, have we?
Well, I didn't realise. I'm not sure if this has changed last night, actually, but I know before last night we were the joint second highest scorers in the league.
Okay,
that's a weird thing to say about Lincoln City in recent years, and again, it also feels like we've had many a game so far already this campaign where we've been holding on with 1-0 leads. And don't get me wrong, we have, but yeah, we're scoring a good few as well. So we've got a lot in our attacking arsenal, and obviously we're keeping ourselves solid defensively as we have done for the last few seasons.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and you are correct. Yeah, it was 17 goals for, 9 against, goal difference of +8. Only Bradford have scored more, but they've also conceded more. So no, I wouldn't have thought that, to be honest.
No, neither did I. It shocked me when I saw it.
Yeah. So look, I mean, yeah, the first half went by. It was a game of football that happened. I will say that, obviously it was reflected by all of us, bar Chris, that we all thought that Dexter Lembakisa had a great game, and that was, he shone in the first half. Really, I think he looked really, really solid. And then, coming out second half, nice early goal in the second half. Corner from Ivan Varfolomiev onto the head of Tom Hamer, who looped it over their goalkeeper. I mean, really, he was a small keeper. And, I think Emily put in the chat, no offense, Chris. I think she put sorry, Chris, and Chris just replied with none taken. So I think, he was a very, relatively small keeper when you look at the likes of George Wickens. And there was a slight element of like a cartoony, almost Scrappy-Doo when the ball went over the top of him. He tried to scramble it out and it went in, just dropped under the crossbar. But look, really good corner from Ivan, and decent header from Tom Hamer to just loop it over the keeper. 1-0, and I think at that point you think, right, it's another routine win.
Yeah, exactly that. I think the minute we went 1-0 up, we were never really too worried about how the game was going to end. We very much kind of expected at that point to go on and win the game and probably get 1 or 2 more goals, which of course happened. But yeah, the goal itself, it's the sort of goal that you're only really going to score in this competition against an under-21 side, isn't it? Yeah. Or against a league side who have got an awful goalkeeper. It's obviously a shame on their side to have conceded that, but great for us. Even with the assist there as well, he's had a great kind of start to the season when he has been on the pitch. It was a really nice corner. And Tom Hamer, who has probably been one of our most underrated players this season so far, especially when you kind of look at the amount of minutes he's got. But I think he has been outstanding whenever he has been on the pitch, and showed again yesterday, especially with getting the goal as well. But I just want to touch on Ivan for a second, because he's not started in the league yet. He's played a combined, it's around 30 minutes in the league. What is it exactly? It is 34 minutes in the league, 35 minutes in the league, sorry, so far for us. And he's obviously our record signing, and yet we're not desperate for him.
No.
And again, what a great feeling that is. You mentioned there about Conor McGrandles and Tom Bayliss in the midfield at the minute, who have been exceptional in most of the games that they have played, and even can't really get much of a look in. But it's also great because it means that we're not dropping him directly into the deep end, having to come into English football, which, as any player who has come from a foreign league tells you, it is a whole different ball game. So we're able to kind of ease him in, use games like this. Granted, use games like Chelsea to be able to give him
small
the opportunities.
game.
Yeah, just that little one that narrowly beat us, and kind of use these games to kind of edge him in bit by bit to then hopefully get his first league start, which I'm very much sure will be coming with some of the performances he's been putting in recently.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah, and I think it was an ideal one. I mean, Chris and I said on Sunday, there doesn't seem to be that much in terms of the bedding in period for Ivan. He's. We all thought, we might have to give him a little bit of time. We might have to just let him adjust. And I think, as Chris said, the adjustment period was the first 20 minutes or so that he was involved at Burton.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, he puts a challenge in, or two challenges in the penalty area, that if you're not a very good footballer, he gives away two penalties in 10 seconds. But no, that kind of stuff just went to show that, right, we might have a bit of a player on our hands. And his performance on Saturday when he came off the bench, I thought he was superb. And he didn't do anything to take that shine off last night. I thought he was very good again. Capped off with the assist from the corner. Now, we do have some pretty good dead ball specialists in the squad at the minute, but it's always nice to have another one. So absolutely wicked cross from him to come in. And that set things up nicely for the second half. Not really too much else happened for about 20 minutes. And then Dexter Lembakisa just skips past the player, skips past the Man United defence like they weren't there. We said the same against Chelsea when they scored their second. The control that was showed and the ball control and the pace to get through our defence was pretty incredible. But let's be honest, last night Dexter skips through about 3 or 4 different players, puts the cross in, and the Stacey West sponsored Eric Ring, which is legally the way that we have to refer to him. It's not legally, just so that everyone's aware. Stacey West sponsored Eric Ring with a very, very tidy finish that he hit it into the ground. Whether he meant to do that or not, I don't know. But the fact that it went in off the bar proves to me that he did. So we'll take it. Really well worked goal and a great finish. And I was delighted for Eric last night.
Yeah, so was I. He's a player that we really all want so much from, and he's not really had masses of opportunities. And when he has, nothing against him directly, but he's never really cemented himself as a player who comes onto the pitch and says, I should be starting week in, week out. But whenever he comes on, he's always a really reliable performer. He's always really solid. He'll show a little bit of skill on the ball, a little bit of pace on the ball, and he has got the end product to go with it as well. So to see him kind of get a goal like that, always kind of really pleasing for him. And again, I think it's just one of those where we kind of sit there and just hope that it's going to be the start of a bit of a run of games for him. But there's obviously so much competition, especially in those forward places we've already mentioned tonight. Which makes it kind of really difficult for him to be able to truly cement any kind of a starting position. But it's a nice kind of problem and a good challenge for him as well, I'm sure. Hopefully this season will very much be his big breakout year at Lincoln.
Yeah, definitely so. I really hope he can get over the slight disappointment, because I know obviously when he came on against Plymouth, he wasn't particularly fit. I think he's admitted it. He didn't feel... he didn't feel right when he came on then, and he's wanting to kind of move on from that and just be better, and it's going to benefit everybody as things go forward. So delighted for Eric, absolutely chuffed to bits for him. And then a few subs came on at one point. Was that before or after the goal? Brilliant. It doesn't actually show me in there when everybody came on. It just says they came on. Thanks, FOTMob. So, the subs came on. Rico Hackett came on. Adam Reach came on. Tom Bayliss, Rob Street, and Freddie Draper all entered the field. And at that point, you kind of think, okay, you just sit down, lads. The bigger boys are here to play football for a bit now. And And once that happened, the game was never in doubt. You know, say 2-0 up, you're kind of thinking the game's done at this point. And then ball comes through, takes a bit of a deflection off. I think it was one of the Fletcher twins. Or was it Bennett? I can't remember. The ball takes a little tiny deflection. Rico picks the ball up, and you can't take anything away from that finish. It's a beautiful finish across the keeper into the bottom left corner. And that was it. Game over. 89 minutes. Job done.
Basically, yeah. I mean, Rico had already missed his opportunity not that long beforehand as well, hadn't he? Where he ended up just missing to the right-hand side of that right post. But he took this one really, really well. Obviously hitting the inside post as it went in, I believe, as well. But it was a really nice finish. He composed himself, took a bit of time to be able to kind of curl that around the keeper. Again, another one of those kind of goals that you're going to get against an academy side who may be a little bit laggy towards the end of the game, are potentially kind of trying to press up a little bit more, have a few more gaps at the back, and boom, the opportunity comes. For Rico to have taken it. Granted, obviously, like I say, he needed 2 bites at the cherry of it, considering he had the one previously. Really impressive for him to be able to get the goal as well. And he just rounded off what was a lovely, comfortable evening. It's not the sort of evening that we'll be talking about in a few months' time as kind of the kickstart of a good run or the end of a bad run or anything like that, or the end of a good run. So it's never going to be a turning point of a season. Is a game in the under-21s. But when you look at it in the context of the momentum that we're currently in, it just feels nice to add that little icing on the cake. Yeah,
100%. I mean, let's not take anything away from the assist either. I mean, it was a beautiful ball from Bailey outside of the boot to bend it round the defender. Really, really good stuff all round. Came through it, no injuries, no concerns ahead of the weekend. Although it did raise a question from me that I put into the Discord, and a few people said they were into this. If a team is winning at the end of a game and it's 3-0 and there's 6 minutes of injury time and there's no real chance of that changing, why do we still have to play 6 minutes of injury time? Why can't we do... Why can't we...
What if the group stage came down to goal difference?
But it doesn't.
I believe it does go to goal difference.
Yes, it's goal. Sorry, goal difference, and then it's goal scored.
So what if it did? What if it did?
Yeah, but I just think.
Do you know what? All these people, they want to change rules of football. Can't we just leave the good game as it is?
If you're 3-0 up and there's 6 minutes of injury time, you should divide those 6 minutes by the number of goals that you're leading by. And therefore play 2 minutes of injury time. It saves everybody's time. Everybody's cold. It's a Tuesday night. Just get it done. Get it out of the way.
Okay. What if you're 2 goals up, and because there's been a big injury or something, there's actually 20 minutes of added time? Are they only allowed to play 10 now?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the new rule.
Okay. Do you know what? You go ahead and email Arsene Wenger, because I think he's the person that seems to make up new rules at FIFA. Go and email him and see whether he can get that new rule implemented.
Shut up, Charlie. But no, look. I mean, it felt excessive. It felt excessive to play 6 minutes last night. But there we go. Somebody has said, Ben, no, simply no. Look, I'm just trying to innovate here. I'm just trying to put new ideas out there that aren't as crap as VAR. So there we go. I mean, look, we're pretty much through to the next stage of the trophy. I think we've got one game left against Barnsley in the group stage, and then it's down to the knockouts. Do you think this is a competition that we're looking to go deep in this season?
I think we're always hoping to go deep into it. Not a joke. But to answer your question, honestly, yes, I think it is. Because no matter how good we're doing in the league, there is always the chance that we could end up dropping out of the playoffs, dropping into kind of upper mid-table in those kind of 7th, 8th, 9th positions. Or we just get automatic promotion. And at the end of the day, everyone still wants a Wembley trip. So, yeah, I don't think it's a competition that we ever just throw away. I think there's only one competition that we play in that we ever don't care about and are willing to throw away, and that is the Senior County Cup.
Okay,
I mean,
fair
we
enough.
literally fielded an ineligible player for it a couple of years ago. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I mean, look, it's... yeah, I think this is probably a competition that we can go deep into this season, and again, it is because of the squad depth. And as somebody's as Paul's mentioned here, says the money's good, so I agree, and that's the thing. Like,
yeah,
we got. I think it was quoted that we got around 250k for the Chelsea game. That was likely due to increased gate receipts and additional stuff rather than prize money, even if we obviously lost and got 250.
Well, there's no prize money. There's no prize money in the League Cup until you get to the semi-final.
No, I don't think there's no prize money. I think it's very, very limited. I think it's like 10 grand or something.
I'm under the impression that it is no. There is a small amount on Football Manager, but it is actually no, from what I can gather.
Okay, that might have changed, because I know when we beat Sheffield United, there was a conversation then around what's the prize money. I think it was around 10, 15 grand. So it wasn't, life-changing for the club, but it was just kind of a token amount.
The EFL trophy, that's £10,000 for every win in the group stage. I think an extra £10,000 if you qualify. It's then £20,000 for the next round, £40,000 for the round after that, £60,000, then £80,000, then I think it's £100,000 if you win it. So if you win the whole thing and you've kind of got through all that point, and obviously you get gate receipts and everything like that, obviously with the Wembley trip as well and the way and everything that brings you, you're probably looking at close to kind of 300,000, if not kind of between 3 and 5, I'm sure, in the end, for an EFL trophy win. So yeah, definitely a competition that will never turn around and say we don't want to win. And obviously it's always a really good opportunity to have that trip to Wembley. And this season, with the way that the club and the fans all just feel really together, it's the perfect opportunity for us to kind of be rewarded for that kind of, well, obviously this really, really good run that we're on so far, and kind of the way that we're feeling about this season would be to get far in a cup competition.
Fair enough. I am being fact checked in real time, by the way. I have it reliably sent to me that we did not have any prize money for the cup run. So it was all kind of gate receipts and other sundries. So there we go. That is that one. So we are about to disappear for a very quick advert break, and we'll say hello to the folks that are watching online right now. If you don't watch it live, get involved. Get yourself. It's every Wednesday, every Sunday. We try and go live at around 7 o'clock. You can come and watch our lovely faces and shine Charlie's shiny head. And then we like to be yeah. So right, we'll head out for a quick ad break, and we'll say hello to everybody on YouTube, and we'll see you in a second. And cut. There we go. Right. Oh, my back is giving me some grief. Oh, right.
Evening,
so yeah, evening. How are we all doing? Let's see who we've got in. We were a little bit late setting up the pre-show stuff tonight. That was entirely on me. Entirely on me. So that's why we've not got the regular stream, I guess, of the information, the chats that we normally have. So Dave's in, says evening guys. Paul's in, evening everyone. Walter's in, evening, everyone's okay. Andy Brown's in as always, evening all. MK Spokes is in, Dom's in. John Booth is in, says good evening. Andy Blackburn says evening guys, a great result last night. It was indeed, mate. Yeah. Carl Mercer's in as always. Good evening from Cambridgeshire. How you doing, my friend? Flossie is in. I'm late, but good evening, everyone. Blake Hutchinson's in, says evening all. I think that's. Oh no, here we go. We've got some more. Harry Warby's in, says evening, and then there were my my comments around the game. No, simply no, and I'm with Charlie Ben. Leave the game alone. Behave, Ben. Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, you've also got your dinner.
My Rach is in, says I'm here. Don't be late finishing the pod. Dinner's in the oven. So I'm on the clock, lads. I'm on the clock, lads and ladies. So yes, we will get it figured out. Yeah, I think that's about it for the folks that are watching live. So we will, if you're ready, Charlie.
Ready whenever.
Beautiful. Right, we will come back in 3, 2, 1. And there we go. Thank you to our sponsors for the week. So, first bit of news for the week before we start previewing Exeter, dropped about 6 o'clock this evening. It was kind of expected, but we can't. I don't think we can really lie too much. The Bradford game has been postponed. No date has been confirmed for the rearranged game as of yet, but yes, it's been postponed due to Imps players receiving call-ups to their national sides. So presumably that would be Ivan, Dexter, and Justin.
Yes, because I think someone said, I haven't fact-checked this myself, I think someone said that St. Lucia don't have any games.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously, yeah, this is probably going to be a controversial one, and from a very brief look across social media, it does seem that is the case.
So
go on.
No, I get the annoyance from a fan point of view. And I think it's more just a disappointment as well, because away at Bradford on the Saturday would have been a spectacle for anyone who was able to go.
Yep.
And of course, I'm talking about it from the point of view of someone who definitely wasn't going to be going. So I get the annoyance, but I also don't get the annoyance because I wouldn't have been going. But yeah, the disappointment on that side of it is real, obviously. Also, we're in a good bit of run of form. We've got some real good momentum going. The more games we're playing at the moment feels better, because we'd much rather play them now rather than on a Tuesday night in December where we inevitably go 5 games without scoring a goal. So again, I totally get that point. However, I think here the key thing that we have to look at is obviously personnel. We have Even, who, as far as I'm aware, will be one of the ones who has been called up.
Yep.
For us to have even hit the 3 that we needed. Even will have been called up. Conor McGrandles is on 4 yellow cards, and that's before Saturday's game. If Conor McGrandles gets another yellow card, he is suspended for the Bradford game, which then means we are heavily light in midfield.
Heavily light?
Heavily light. I know. I kind of realised halfway through what I was saying there that it was awful. But we are very light in midfield. And I have a feeling that might be the reason that it was decided to not go down the route of playing the match. From what I can also gather, we had to make the decision before Friday midday, which means we couldn't just wait until the game happened and then just make the decision, obviously, depending on whether or not Conor McGrandles got a yellow card on Saturday. So I have a feeling that that's kind of the thought process. At least that's exactly how I would look at it. So for me, I get the decision and I'm actually on board with the decision, but I also get the annoyance of it from a fan, an away-going fan perspective as well as obviously wanting to keep the momentum up.
Yeah, I mean, look, cards on the table. I'm not as disappointed by it as I probably would have been, because I wanted to go to the game, but I'm in Birmingham that day, so couldn't. And it now means that I can go, albeit on a Tuesday night. So yeah, I'm, from a purely selfish perspective, I don't mind this, but from from the other perspectives, it's very easy to see why people are irritated about this. And I think it goes back to the fans forum where there was a question asked about this exact situation, and Jez kind of said that it would depend on personnel and injuries and suspensions. So I wonder if that did actually lead to a bit of a misunderstanding, I think. Probably it's not too much of a misunderstanding, but he kind of said, look, we've signed Dexter to give us that flexibility and that option because he's a full international. Yeah. He's not going to need to be playing X number of games before being required to be considered, for an international postponement. Because I think if you're under 21, you've got to have played so many minutes. But if you're a full international, you can just if you get called up, that's it. It's valid for valid cause. So yeah, look, I mean, I'm disappointed from the point of view of seeing X thousand Lincoln fans going to Bradford and making it an absolute day. And to be fair, Steve does ask the question here of how many of the call-ups would have been in our starting 11 at Bradford. Possibly one, if you're talking Evan.
But the game isn't about the 11 anymore. It's about the 18 or 20, however many players we seem to have on the bench nowadays. 18.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
We have 5 substitutes. We don't want to be limited. And we're sitting here talking about how strong our squad depth is. But what if, hypothetically, Conor McGrandles was to have got a yellow on Saturday? What if, obviously, then even would be going, let's say we then got an injury to Tom Bayliss. Well, suddenly we've only got Finn Barbrook that can play in the midfield at that point away at Bradford, or that would have hit that as his natural position, even if you did maybe drop Ben House down or something like that. So although I totally agree that we probably could still have put our strongest 11 out, there's the risk that we could have put a rather weaker 18 out. And that's why, realistically, is it worth playing the game? Probably not.
Yeah, look, I mean, I can see it, and it's a debate that will likely be going on for a while on social media because that's how it works. I'm like I say, selfishly, I'm okay with it, but from everything else, like I can see the disappointment, and I'm a little bit disappointed because just that scene of packing out, packing the away end out and just having a really good day of it.
Yeah,
there's so much history. There's the emotional ties between the club, between the two clubs. It's just, everything about going to Valley Parade is one of those days. Like I don't think I've been to Valley Parade to see Lincoln play, and I really want to. Like I really, really want to. So yeah, it's. I mean, it's happening now. We can't. We no matter how much people are going to piss and moan about it, it's happening. It's not going to change, and we'll just have to make sure that we can go up on a Tuesday night, and it does make the point. Paul's made the point here. It says, to me, it clogs up a Tuesday night. It absolutely does, and it just depends when that gets played. I think this is probably a bit of a risk, but it's a calculated risk that will have been taken because if this pushes into November or December, all of a sudden you're looking at, do we have our typically bad run of form in December, and all the rest of it. So yeah, look, it'll rumble on, but the game's off. So we've got a slightly more freed up weekend on the 10th. So next up, Charlie, we've got a few questions, which we've got one that's probably going to take us a minute, so we'll come to that one in a second. But I'm just trying to spin them through the Discord. Posh and Stockport owners, this is from Scunny Imps, says Posh and Stockport owners both say it's the most wide open League One there has been in 20 years. Do you agree?
20 years takes it to when I was 2, so I'm not quite going to go back that far.
Keep forgetting you're a fetus.
But I will, I will go back as far as when we came into League One. The most wide open, I think, is a pretty fair comment. When you look at who the kind of the top 3 are, the top 4 are, because I think Wimbledon the team sat in 4th, I believe, now as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you kind of look at that kind of top 4 in particular, sorry, no, Cardiff now
Wimbledon
are.
Yeah, Cardiff 4th, Wimbledon 6th.
Yes, sorry, my mistake. So Wimbledon is 6th anyway. So if you look at the playoffs, you've only got 2 teams in there that I would say were realistically playoff favourites at the start of the season, and that is Cardiff and Huddersfield. You look towards the bottom of the table, you've got Peterborough down there, you've got Rotherham down there, you've got Blackpool down there, and Wickham down there, and Reading down there. Like, they are all sides that you would have expected to have had better starts to the season than what they have. Now, some of those we'd have expected to have been talking about being quite high up in the division. Some of them we'd have maybe expected to be mid-table, like a Peterborough or a Rotherham. But a lot of sides are kind of struggling. The table does look kind of really mixed up from where any preseason predictions were. So on that point of view, I definitely think you can agree with what they've said there. I just think it's a really, really good league. I think any side can give a really, really good game to their opposition. You saw it last night, Burton winning away from home against Cardiff. So those are the sorts of games that I'm less surprised about seeing this year in League One, which is making it a great division.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I think in terms of it being that wide open, sort of anyone can beat anyone kind of thing. We see it every season. Somebody will beat somebody every weekend, and you go, bloody hell, I didn't see that one coming. However it goes.
But this doesn't feel like it's the one-offs every weekend, though. This feels like it's 4 or 5 games every weekend.
Yes,
which is a great sight.
Yeah, it's where I was coming to. It's that kind of. It's that thing where you don't have the one shock anymore. It's kind of, oh, okay. And the only other time that I can think maybe it was this open was the COVID season, 2021. Because, again, it goes back to, our time-honoured refrain of, well, we had the wage cap. Well, we had this, and it was when everybody was on a level playing field, in terms of finances, it suddenly made everything more about footballing reasons for everything, which is why we obviously did so well in that season. So, yeah, it's. I would agree that it's probably the most wide open. I still think you're going to see those mini leagues start to appear.
Of course.
However, I don't think you're going to have Birmingham and Wrexham at the top of the table, and Charlton, kind of.
Well, no, because they're all in the Championship.
Those equivalents, Charlie. Peanuts. Anyway, right. Next question comes from Shane, and he is dropping us right in it. He says, 10 games in, going to put you on the spot. Where do you think we'll finish?
6th. I'm going for it. I am changing my preseason prediction. I'm going playoffs, and I never want to be reminded of this at the end of the season when we've had our traditional winter bad run and we sit in 12th place. But for now, let me enjoy the hype train that is very much building at Sinsselbank.
I said 12th at the start of the season. I think we all said 12th. I think maybe 1 or 2 that said 11th. But I think on the whole, we agreed on mid-table. I think now that 7th is not unrealistic. However, I just know that there will be a sticky patch, and it's how we navigate it. So I'm going to say 8th, and I'm going to be heartbroken at the end of the season when it comes down to the last game again. And it's going to come down to the last minute, and we will miss out again. And it'll be heartbreaking because we are eternal pessimists, but that is how it happens for Lincoln City. I'd be delighted to be proven wrong, and I would love to be in your prediction spot of 6th. But yeah, I I think we'll be on the fringes. We'll be very much on the fringes. But yeah, I'm beginning to believe, as Morpheus once said. So right, they're the sort of picks from the Patreon this week. However, there was one question that Rach asked last night while we were watching the game, and I thought, you know what, that might be a decent one to chat about on the podcast. So we'll briefly touch on it before we look at Exeter. And that question was: now we've got the squad depth that we have. If there was an intra-squad 11v11 game, which 2 11s would give you the best game of football? So obviously, you know, you've got George Wickens and Zach Geacock at either ends. The 11s either side, you know, I don't just want us to pick like, you know, Saturday's 11 versus Tuesday's 11. Like we've got to mix it up. We've got to have a decent game. So yeah, go on then, Charlie.
Obviously Wickens and Geacock are the 2 goalkeepers. So we'll go the Wickens 11 and the Geacock 11. So the Wickens 11 is George Wickens in goal, Dexter right back, Tom Hamer right centre half with Sonny Bradley left centre half and Riley Towler left back. Conor McGrandles and Finn Barbrook in the middle. Right wing is Oscar Thorne. Number 10 is Ben House. Left wing is Rico Hackett. And up top is James Collins. Now, the Geacock 11 is Tendai at right back, Jacko, Montsma and Reach as the rest of the defence. Ivan and Bayliss in the middle. Rob Street on the right wing. Eric Ring on the left wing with Freddie Draper, the number 10. And Justin Abiku up top. Now, did that earlier on, and I don't even have Francis Okoronkwo in the squad. There's no Jack Moylan. There's no Dom Jeffries. You know, that's how strong our squad is at the minute.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much what I would have thought of as well. I mean, I just the midfield 2 for me in one of the sides was kind of key, and it was what I think Finn was saying in his interview earlier in the week. He was saying, you know, I'd like to learn a lot from Conor McGrandles this year because, you know, that for me just I thought, okay, cool, that's the midfield 2 for me set.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd really like to see, you know, Ivan going up against Colo as he's trying to get through the midfield, or you know, those kind of battles. You know, it'd just be fun. It'd just be fun.
Lewis Montsma up against Collins at the back. You know, just. It will be great. Yeah,
no, so good little bit of fun. Let us know in the comments if you have a different 11v11. But it's just interesting that we're able to do this. And like you say, you don't have Frankie Okoronkwo in your squad. You've not got Jack Moylan in there. You know, Dom Jeffries. Where they're just not there. But I mean, I suppose at the minute Dom Jeffries and Jack Moylan are kind of out of our minds because they're out injured. Yeah. But yeah, when they come back. Keep saying it. It's a hell of a headache to have. But,
do right.
There we go. Right. So I think that is the majority of the news. So let's look ahead to Saturday because we're back at home. We're against Exeter. Exeter are... I did have the table up in front of me. I believe they are in the teens.
Exeter are currently sat in 18th place. They've had 3 wins, no draws, but 7 losses. They have scored 10 goals, which is a decent record, and conceded 12, which for a team that have lost 7 of their games is actually a relatively low amount. You'd have probably expected a few more goals conceded, and that could very much point to the sort of game that Exeter could be trying to give us on Saturday. The game is down at the Bank, isn't it? Before I say that stupidly, I'm going to say I did think it was, but then suddenly I second-guessed myself. So yeah, they are a side who I would expect are going to try and come to us, shut up shop a little bit and just try and nab a 1-0 sort of a victory. They are in a really, really poor run of form at the moment. They have lost their last 5 games on the bounce. But then again, they have lost 2, their last 3 league games in particular, for example, the last 3 games in particular, are Huddersfield that they've lost to, Stevenage, who have obviously had a really good start to the season that they've lost to, and Cardiff in there as well. And then before that, it was Port Vale and Rotherham that they lost to. They did also beat Peterborough 3-0, but it seems like anyone can do that nowadays. So what does that matter? Like I say, they are a side who I'm very much expecting to come here with some solid defensive solidity, and we're going to be tasked with trying to break that down. Now, I think in recent years, if we'd have said that about a team coming to the back, we'd have actually been a little bit scared, because it was against the kind of style of play that we would struggle with. A team kind of trying to shut up shop and us kind of having to take the prerogative to them. But this season, with the way that we're playing football, I am really, really excited for Saturday. I think it could be another game where we're able to pick up a couple of goals, hopefully a clean sheet as well. And then we kind of go from there, and we potentially keep Exeter City's poor run going.
Yeah, I mean, I had a chance to chat with an Exeter City fan a little bit earlier on. There's a preview that is currently in the can. It's going to be live on YouTube shortly. Brad Theobald is his name, and he was saying to me that, at the minute, Gary Caldwell is very stubborn. He's very stuck in his ways, and he wants them to play out from the back. He wants them to play 3-5-2, and he wants to build and keep the possession. But ultimately, they're not necessarily good enough to do that against a team that's going to press you high. That sounds like a Lincoln City side. Mm-hmm. Their keeper's only 5'8", and if you're pinging anything in from distance at him, it might just go in. So I think this is, while this has the possibility of being a banana skin, I think the confidence being so high in the side at the moment and in the squad, I honestly think this could be probably a bit of a rout. They're low on confidence.
Yeah.
They're not in a good run of form, as you say. We've come off the back of a really, really good couple of weeks. As I mentioned earlier, 10 goals in 4 games. We're not struggling for anything at the moment. I think this could be a difficult afternoon for anybody travelling up from Exeter, Charlie.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we've got a really good opportunity, like I say, in this game. I think we can definitely get a few goals with kind of how they've been. But like I say, they are going to come here and try and kind of tire us out with kind of a strong defence. They're also in a poor run of form in terms of scoring. So, I think we're very much aligned on the fact that hopefully we can keep a clean sheet as well, which will obviously do us great in terms of that extra confidence builder, as we are constantly on this kind of really high wave of momentum. And then we kind of go from there. So, I think I'm going to go kind of a little bit reserved if we're going to do predictions, because I'm kind of going to go a 2-0 victory. I think it's going to be comfortable for us. I think we're going to be really pleased with how the game's going. But I'm not going to start getting overexcited and say that we'll beat them 4-0, even though it's certainly a result that wouldn't shock me with the way that the form of both sides is.
I said in the preview that I think we might win this one 3-0. I'm going to be sticking to that, because I just think the confidence is there. I mean, what do we think in terms of lineup? Do we go unchanged from Luton and Peterborough? It obviously, Skubala isn't necessarily as Chris mentioned on Sunday. He's not the if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of guy. He will be picking a team to win. Do we think that we go unchanged again in the league on Saturday?
That's a good question. I am going to say yes. However, it also wouldn't surprise me if this was the sort of game where we gave Ivan his league start. Mm-hmm. Obviously, whether he's ready to do that after a Tuesday night, I don't know. But yeah, it wouldn't shock me if this was the sort of game that he came in for. Obviously, off the back of some really, really good performances when he's had it. And at home in a game that we're expected to win. I definitely think it's the sort of game where he could drop in quite nicely. I also think sooner rather than later, Tom Hamer's going to get on the pitch from the start in the league again as well, because he's another player who has been outstanding all season, and he just gives us so much.
But who does he replace? Who does he?
Yeah, I mean, you see, that's the thing. That's the thing. If he replaces anyone, he replaces Jacko. But,
yeah, I mean, obviously there's a slight question mark on Jacko from Saturday.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing. If it could be a precautionary thing, I wouldn't argue against Tom Hamer coming in the side. If it's precautionary or if it is indeed an injury to Jacko. Yeah, I do think look, Hamer's been outstanding for us. I think he was another possible candidate for man of the match on Tuesday night, but he's not dislodging Jacko without something happening. And I think maybe having an injury question mark over the top of Tom Jackson, of Adam Jackson, is one of those where you think, okay, Tom Hamer might come in and take his place. But yeah, interesting one for sure. Paul does mention here in the chat, he says, if we played Ivan instead of Connor, that might negate your argument for cancelling the Bradford game.
That's true, but what if Ivan only plays 60 minutes and then Connor comes on for the last 30, which is statistically when you're most likely to get yellow cards?
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's a good point. Good point, but yeah.
Yeah, no. Age of Rum says, unfortunately, overconfidence may be our weakness. We're due being taken back a peg or two, and it will probably be a team like Exeter who do it. I hope to God it's all fine, but a banana skin nonetheless. Yeah, I think overconfidence is it's a good point. However, I don't think at the minute, in terms of the squad, I don't think they're overconfident. I think that they're sound and solid in their abilities. It's not like they're arrogant. The first thing that's said at the minute is, no matter who it is, whether it's Michael Skubala, whether it's somebody that's kind of around the squad and around the side, everybody says it's a good group. They've got the feet on the floor, they've got their heads together. It seems like this is genuinely a really good group of players that understand where they are and they understand the job. I don't think they're getting overconfident, but I do agree it's a potential banana skin. And with Gary Colwell's comments earlier in the week about referees, he's very clearly sowing the seeds, isn't he?
Yeah, look, if you're a betting man, bet on Gary Caldwell to get to yellow because it will inevitably happen. Look, I don't think overconfidence is something that Michael Skubala will allow in this team either. Yeah, I totally get the point, and complacency will always be your biggest enemy when you're riding high, as obviously we are at the moment. But I don't think that's the sort of thing that will be allowed to kind of creep into this squad. From the fans' point of view, of course, we'll always get overconfident because that's exactly what happens. Yeah. But, you know, we sit here and we say never too high on the highs, never too low on the lows and all that. And let's be honest.
You've just predicted us to finish sixth in the table.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. And it all just goes out the window the minute you start getting a good run because you get excited. And it's kind of hard to keep that objectivity. But I don't think the players are going to have that in their kind of mindset. Because like I said, I just don't think they'll be allowed to have it or certainly not be able to express it.
Yeah, no, 100%. I do agree. I think, from a fan's perspective, I'm really confident going into Saturday. Just looking at everything at the moment. I mean, Exeter don't have, and here we go. Here's the B word, klaxon, but they don't have the biggest budget. They're obviously they're a fan-owned side. They cut the cloth accordingly. They're essentially that their aim for this season, as every season, is to avoid getting relegated. And it's a cliche, but these are the kind of games that you would expect to be winning if you want to finish where we want to finish this season. So. Yeah, look, I'm hopeful of a win. I'm confident of a win. And Keith made a good point here. He said we have enough experienced players who've won promotion before to get too overconfident. And that's the thing. It's that mix of experience and youth that we've got at the moment. You know, James Collins has done it all. He will not let the likes of Justin Abikwu or Freddie Draper or anybody get too big for their boots and get overconfident, because ultimately he's going to turn around and he's going to say, look, I've done it. I've been there. If you act like a dickhead, I'll tell you. And I think that permeates the whole squad. And I think everything that's come out of everything just suggests that the group of players that they've got in the club at the moment are just down to earth, focused, and have it in them to overcome whatever challenge is thrown at them. So I really, really, really don't think overconfidence is an issue. But we shall see. Is there anything else that you want to talk about, Charlie, briefly before we bid everybody adieu?
No, I think that is more or less everything. We've covered all of the big news, which inevitably means there'll be some kind of news that comes out in an hour's time after we've finished the podcast, because that's normally how it goes. But yeah, do you know what? Like I said earlier on, I've not been on the podcast for a few weeks, and it's great to come back on, because all I've wanted to do over the past month is talk Lincoln City, because what a journey it's becoming so far this season.
Absolutely. And I'll leave everybody with this comment from Age of Rome. Says, I think we've something very special building. We'll win more than we lose. It could be a season to remember. It's got all the hallmarks. What a time to be an Imp, whatever happens. I could not agree more. Everything is pretty good. And Paul says, get your tea, Ben. So I will go and get my tea and sign off with what we always do. So until next time, up the Imps.
Up the Imps.